Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be making a traveler's notebook, a DIY do-it-yourself. I apologize, this is a voiceover. My first recording did not pick up on audio, so we're just gonna go with the flow here. But this is an A5 slim size. It's an 8.5 by 11 inch piece of leather. I picked it up from Michael's Craft Store for $9. It's originally $12.99, but I did use the coupon code and got it for $9. So this whole notebook can be made for $15 or less. These are some of the other notebooks that I made. These are A6 size. I made these little tags here. That blue leather there, that was something I found at Hobby Lobby for $9 before any kind of discount. So that blue one was a little bit cheaper. The supplies you'll be needing is a metal ruler if you're planning on cutting it down and making it an A6 size. Here's the label of what it looked like when I bought it from Michael's Craft Store. But you'll need a metal ruler, some elastic in that leather there. Now I'm just getting all my supplies ready so I can start making my traveler's notebook in A5 slim. So you'll need a mini hole punch. You can pick one of these up for $5 to $7. This one came with a couple different sizes. I believe this is the 2.5 or 3 size, but they're very inexpensive to get. You're also gonna want one of those wooden mallets up there in the corner, or a rubber or plastic mallet. A metal hammer can damage your stamping tools. This elastic cord here that I got, this whole pack was $4.99. This is a smaller elastic cord than I would typically use. This is a 1mm elastic cord. The type that I would recommend and typically use is 2mm, but if you're in a pinch and you want to do this on a Saturday like I did, you can get all of the supplies you need at your local Hobby Lobby or Michael's. This wooden mallet was, I think, $2 or $3 as well. So this whole project can be very inexpensive if you're starting with no supplies at all. You will also definitely want one of these self-healing cutting mats on the back. If you have the opportunity to get one that has the grid on it, I highly recommend it, because when you're making those precise cuts to cut it down to what you're looking for, it makes it so much easier if you have the grid right there in the background. When you do take this label off here, you are going to have a little bit of damage from the staple holes. But as long as you put that in the back, they're not very noticeable at all, and you kind of have to look for them actually. But if you are planning on cutting it down, just make that the section that you're cutting down, and then you can utilize those further in between the staple line or the staple marks to make tags or bookmarks or anything else to add to your traveler's notebook. This is one that I cut down from a similar piece of black leather. I just made it the A6 size. This one we are using the full sheet, so we're not even gonna have to worry about cutting anything or measuring, because it's the exact size that we need. I used the scrap of the blue fabric there to make that tag on the front, and then I used a leather stamping kit to make the letters and the design. That is a completely unnecessary step. That is just something additional I chose to do. So what I like to do here is I like to go ahead and fold it in half. So I have that kind of crease mark and a little bit of change in color on the leather on the edge there. So I know right where I want my holes to be in the center. And then I just eyeball it. I put one hole on one side of the crease, one hole on the other, and kind of eyeball it for spacing. It doesn't take much force at all to punch through this leather. It's nice and easy and soft. Just a couple taps with the hammer and you're good to go. The leather will back up into the hole of that punch, and you can either clean it out with a toothpick or a paper clip, or you can wait for it to back itself out. And then kind of eyeballing it and making the second hole there on the edge of the spine. And then you're going to want to just kind of trace down directly beneath those two holes and make 2 more holes. Here I'm showing you how you can use a ruler to line it up along the crease of the spine. Still, I'm not using any precise measurements or math. I am genuinely just eyeballing it at what I think looks good. The good thing about this project is you don't have to be real precise for it to still turn out well and be usable. And then right in the center of the spine, you're going to want to choose a place for your elastic closure. You can choose to do it on the back cover in the center if you would like, but I feel like that interferes with writing, so I choose to add it on the spine side so it does not interfere with my notebook laying flat. And again, I just kind of eyeball it, look right where it looks like it's in the center, and with that same hole punch out a little piece in the middle. If it doesn't come all the way through, sometimes you can just peel that piece out. If not, just another tap and easy peasy. I was trying not to be too loud as my kid was asleep in the other room, so I was trying not to wake him and use the least amount of hammering as possible. This hole punch actually came with a wrench as well, so if the hole punch on the end got on too tight, you could use that wrench to loosen it up nice and easy. And that is what it looks like. That is the hard part done. And now I'm just folding it back over to make sure things look like they're aligning right. Everything looks good. Centered up just like it should be. All right. And then I want to keep verifying that the staples are on the back of the cover, so I don't have to see it every time I use it or pick it up, but they don't really hurt anything, and you probably wouldn't even notice if you didn't know that they were there, removing the staples. Here I'm just picking which elastic cord I'm going to use. I like to coordinate the color of the cord that holds the books in place with the elastic closure. Again, I would typically recommend a 2mm cord, but in a pinch 1mm will work just fine. I'm measuring it out to make sure I have enough. It's better to have a little too much than not enough, because you can always cut some off if you make a mistake. Now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to feed it from the outside of the cover so that the long portion of the band that's exposed is on the inside. So you're going to start by feeding it through one hole on the outside of the cover, go all the way down to the corresponding hole on the other end. And then you're going to go on the outside of the cover again to the next hole at the bottom. I think here I'm flipping it around, so I made sure the staple marks were on the back. And then you're just going to feed it from the back into the inside and down to the other corresponding hole. And back once again to the outside. Now here you want to make sure that your elastics are pulled tight enough so that they can hold your notebook securely in place. So you can make a loose knot, and before making that final securing knot, just double check that they seem nice and secure and snug. You don't want them too tight where it's bending your cover, but you don't want them so loose that your notebooks are going to be wiggling around in there. And then I just make a double knot on the end. You can add a charm if you like, but for purposes of making this easy, I'm just choosing to do a double knot because I found that it will hold just fine. But if you want to add a charm, you just make one knot, slide the charm on, and then make another knot on the outside. And then I just like to cut off the excess so it's not hanging down. You can also add charms onto the excess there so they hang down and you can use them as a bookmark. I just prefer to have that cut off and make it as sleek as I can. And then for the elastic closure, like I said, I choose to make a closure that corresponds with the inside just because I feel like it looks nice, but you do not have to do that. You can use whatever colors you like. This elastic cord comes in so many colors, so you can really get fun with this. Now I'm just kind of eyeballing these because this is the only thing that needs a little bit closer measurement I found, just so that it can hold it securely closed. You're just gonna loop it over like that and then make one knot on the end. When you first do it, I would make that knot very loose, as you can test it to make sure the length is right, because if it's not right, it'll be much easier to readjust if you keep that knot loose. And now I'm just putting it through the spine and testing that the length is correct. What I do is, especially since this is 1mm cord, I double up my elastic closure bands, so I will use 2 just to make sure everything is nice and secure. I like to use 2 different colors when I do too, just because I like adding that little fun pop of color. Now I'm just kind of looking and seeing what color looks nice. I really like that light blue, so I think I'm gonna add that here. And now you can just use that first elastic closure band as a guide, so it'll be much easier to make that second elastic closure. And then same thing, one knot on the end. As long as it matches up close to that first band, it's okay to pull this one tight. And they don't have to be exactly even. They will work themselves out. They'll kind of stretch and adjust, but as long as they are close. Sometimes it can be a little tricky when you go to put both bands through the hole, but if you use just a slightly bigger hole than you think you might need, at least for this elastic closure portion, it will make things much easier. There, I have both of them pulled through, nice and easy. Now I'm just checking one more time for placement and making sure it's secure. Perfect. And now we will see if my A5 Slim Jibun Techo will fit in here nicely. That's the last touch, is just adding your notebook. There might be a little bit of overhang if you use it with the Jibun Techo, because it does have that kind of cover on cover, but I'm personally okay with that. And you can always get a slightly larger piece if you do not like that overhang. But there you have it. In 15 minutes, you have a DIY traveler's notebook for under $15. Thank you so much for watching.